I just think that the next 3 days, if the 4 days and 3 games, or one day, and me and you doing this again later in the week, is a referendum on the captain of the team. Like, he needs this to be the moment.
Hello and welcome to the Pinstripe Post. My name is Ryan Sampson. I'm the host and producer of the show. That's the star of the show, Joel Sherman. Today is Monday, October 6th. Joel is back in New York after a busy travel trip to Toronto, where the New York Yankees got absolutely spanked in Toronto. 2-0 down in the series in the American League Division Series. They're coming home in a must-win situation here in the Bronx. Joel, it's looking bleak right now. Yankees fans are very, very upset. But I got to get your perspective here. What is your takeaway right now? The Yankees down 2-0 in the series.
Well, I'm curious, what are Yankee fans upset about?
I think they're mostly upset about the fact that game one, Aaron Judge striking out with the bases loaded, and probably the worst swing I think I've seen him since 2017. And then the other thing they're upset about is Max Fried just absolutely crapping the bed yesterday, and a chance for them to try and win a game and even the series, and which has been a house of horrors for him in Toronto. I think those are the two big things. I mean, everything else is kind of played out way Toronto would want it, and you would expect from Toronto to do it. Their lineup doesn't strike out, and your key guys just are not hitting in clutch moments, and you're not getting enough slug from your big hitters. Am I wrong?
No, I think you're right. It almost feels like what do you do? Fried is going to finish top five in the AL Cy Young. He's been the ace. He has pitched terribly in Toronto. If he pitched even half-ass in Toronto, he might win the Cy Young this year. It would have improved his numbers so much. It was a bad time for him to be there again, and yet they need to get him to Game 5 where he would get the ball again, and take their shots at it. And it's interesting. Judge is hitting this postseason, but he would be better off being 1 for 13. But the one was a grand slam in Game 2, because what's missing, as has been missing from his resume for his entire time as a great Yankee, possibly a 3-time MVP by the time the voting is announced this year, is gigantic moments at this time of year. I went and looked at it, Ryan. I don't know if people are familiar with the Baseball Reference statistic, win probability added. It literally could take each at bat and show you, did it get you closer to a win or a loss at what percentage? And his 5 biggest win percentage added moments in the postseason, 4 have common losses. The one that came in a win was in the 4th inning. Most of these are early innings, and one of them was a first-inning homer off Jack Flaherty in a game he would later drop a fly ball in center field and trigger the beginning of the end of the Yankees last year in Game 5 of the World Series. That's just been who he is in the postseason. He is missing this from his resume. If he even just takes ball 4 the other day and kind of begins to string that lineup along, I think Aaron Boone uses a different level of relief pitcher from there moving forward. And at least it's a game.
Yeah.
There's real questions. I don't think it ends up being, what was the final, 10-1 or whatever the final score was in Game 1. And that feels like it mushroomed into Game 2. That was their biggest at bat. And, Judge's 2 RBIs so far this postseason are a gift that Jarren Duran drops in left field. It's a gift that he didn't catch it. It was gift from the official scorer that it was called a hit.
Yeah.
And that was an RBI. And the second was at the beginning of their comeback yesterday. He had an RBI single that made it 13-2, I think, or something like that. So, or 13-2 or something along those lines. So, he hasn't had a lot of he's had a lot. The comparison I made was he's kind of been Luis Arise when they need all rise, not just Luis. And that hasn't happened. And I don't know how they win 3 straight games if Aaron Judge doesn't rise up.
Well, certainly the one thing that I think, and I talked about this with Dan Martin over the weekend, after yesterday's loss, the Yankees, believe it or not, it feels like they have it lined up if they do want to make a comeback here. Because of the situation it currently is, you have Carlos Rodon, if you can win Game 3, and him give you 6 solid innings or 7 innings, even possibly, and the lineup actually produces, and you win this game 3. Game 4, you got Cam Schlittler on the mound on what expects to be a bullpen game for the Blue Jays, and then like you said, it's a anyone can win game 5 back in Toronto, and you need Max Fried just to be half as good or even half as better as he was in game 1. So, or game 2, sorry. So, is there hope here? Can there be hope? Or is this really, they're just dead in the water here, and it's just a matter of if, not, I mean, it's just a matter of when, not if they lose this series?
What did Jim Carrey say as Lloyd Christmas? So you say there's a chance, right? Just to give you the numbers, there's been 90 best of 5 series in the history of the playoffs that have gone 2-0. The team that has gone up 2-0 has won 80 times. Of the last 18 that have gone 2-0, 17 times the team that has gone up 2-0 has won. Would you like to know the one that didn't?
Sure.
The 2017 Yankees went down 0-2 to Cleveland, and people understand this was not an AL Central team like you're thinking. Cleveland was the defending American League champion and had the best record in the American League. They were really that's the best version of Cleveland since the Manny Ramirez, Jim Tomei, Kenny Lofton, and Albert Bell group. They were really good. They almost won the World Series the year before. They got to Game 7 in 2016. In 2017, you could argue that at least during the regular season, they were even better. They had the best record. The Yankees lost 2 in Cleveland, and they came back. And so a few things just for Yankee fans about that. Let's go back to Judge.
Yeah.
The Yankees won that series, though Judge went 1 for 13 with 11 strikeouts in the last 3 games of the series. He was carried along. How was he carried along? Masahiro Tanaka threw 7 shutout innings in game 3. And like if you're looking what Carlos Rodon needs to do, he needs to have a Tanaka moment, right? They got huge hits over those 3 games from Greg Bird, Brett Gardner, and Didi Gregorius. So like, is Ben Rice going to step up and be Greg Bird? Is Volpe going to be Didi Gregorius? Is Bellinger able to be Gardner? By the way, if you'd like to bring the house down, somehow convince Brett Gardner to come back to the flock and throw out the first pitch before game 1 tomorrow. They would have had your Savage, and you would have the Savage, right? Like back. Somebody who's been away, somebody who I think the fans love, and is, by the way, best friends, really pals with Judge, real mentor to Judge in the clubhouse. And their bullpen was great. Chapman and David Robertson and Canely were all excellent. So like there was a formula, and they got back to Game 5, and Game 5 was pitched by the guy who would go on to win the Cy Young Award that year, Corey Kluber. And the Yankees kind of got on him and did it. So like I've seen, and there's been 3 times, I think, at least since I've been around the Yankees with some regularity. They also did this in the 96 World Series, where they lost 2 at home to the Braves and then went and won 3 in a row. Well, that was a 7-game series, but I'll tell you, in a 5-game series, in 2001, they went down 2-0 to Oakland. And then a little bit like Tanaka, they won, I think, a 1-0 game with Musina. That's the flip play with Jeter, where they keep it 1-0. They win 2 in Oakland and they come back to New York. They advance. They got all the way to Game 7 of the World Series. I've seen it. I've seen the Yankees do it. But again, I can't imagine that there'd be 3 games, maybe not even 1 game, where Judge disappears and this happens. The rules are different with the Yankees to me, Ryan. They've won 27 championships, and if you're Bernie Williams or Reggie Jackson, if you're Derek Jeter or Mariano Rivera, it isn't just you make your bones from April to September. You have meaningful October moments. And I would even point out, Tino Martinez was a 240 postseason hitter in about, I think it was 81, exactly half of regular season, 81 postseason games for the Yankees. But he took Langston deep. He goes deep against the Diamondbacks. Like, he's a forever Yankee in some way because he has those memories. And Judge, of course, is going to be a forever Yankee because of how good he's been during the regular season. But he's got to have some moments here. He's got to have some moments where he puts the team on his back. And if he doesn't, it's part of his legacy too.
It certainly is, and I'm just that image of the swing. I just can't get it out of my head. And I knew when it happened. I said, Joel, just put the ball in play, man. Like, don't even worry about hitting a home run here. Just put the ball in play. Make them field it.
So I was the guy who, after the game, I don't know if you saw the interview, I asked him if he was over anxious, and he kind of poo-pooed it and actually asked me if I had seen the whole at bat. No, yes, I had seen the whole at bat. I've seen all of his at bats in the postseason, if he'd like to know, in person. Uh, and I asked the question because I do feel like at some point it's probably even he is dying to have the moment. And Gossman is a guy he's owned. Yeah, Kevin Gossman's a guy he's owned. He has 6 homers off of him. He has about a 340 batting average off of him in literally the most plate appearances that anyone has against Kevin Gossman. It's over 60 plate appearances. So it's not an insignificant number. And, again, it was a game in which I think he got a hit in his first at bat against Gossman, and he got a hit later in the game. And, you trade it all in for just again, even just take the walk there and keep it going, or, get a big hit. It was interesting after the game yesterday when Judge was asked about where he thinks he is. He talked about, like, think I'm having good at bats, trying not to do too much, passing the baton. And I'm like, yeah, that's a wonderful vanilla soundbite. But I'm sure that isn't what him and his agent said to the Yankees when he got $360 million. I'd like to be a guy who passes the baton. He's Aaron Judge. Like, it's a stand-up moment. Like, at some point, as part of the crescendo on top of a Hall of Fame career, let's not kid ourselves where Aaron Judge is going. He's might be one of the 25 greatest regular season hitters in the history of the sport. But right now, like, if you're telling me you're tying a home run off of Emmanuel Clase or some double off of Ken Giles that no even strong Yankee fan will remember is your big moments in October, when you've now played, I think it's 63 postseason games. It's not insignificant. It's up over towards about 230, 240 plate appearances. There there needs to come a time, like it feels to me, if the Yankees are going to come back, and Ryan, we've done this long enough, I don't usually go for the sports movie stuff,
Yeah.
but it feels like if they're going to mount something, they like almost the surge has to start with him, like a 2 homer game.
Yeah.
He hits one in the first, they get ahead, and at the first moment where it seems like Toronto might come back, he hits another one, or drives in a couple of runs with guys on base. Like they're a home run hitting team and they're a Judge team. When they hit homers and Judge plays well, they do a lot of winning. And they've been out homered 8-1 in this
It's
series.
crazy.
8-1.
It's crazy.
And there's like Stanton, who's the greatest truth teller of their group, just said, nope, can't win if we don't win the home run battle. If we don't win it, we won't win. Like, it's pretty simple. And to win the home run battle, you need Judge to get on the board.
Absolutely. It all starts with him. And that's really what's been the difference in this series is the fact that game one, he has bases loaded, doesn't come through. And Vladimir Guerrero yesterday just puts the icing on top of the cake with the grand slam yesterday and just putting that game away. And their star, Vlad, is leading their way for the Blue Jays. Like, I know they're hitting as a lineup, but Vlad is
Their
risen to the
star is
moment.
outplaying Yankee stars. Their chorus is outplaying the Yankee chorus. Their rotation, I mean, everything is better. The Blue Jays, I mean, if for 162 games they were even, they both won 94 games. But the Blue Jays won the season series and got the series up there where they have home field advantage. You called it the House of Horrors. It's what I called it in my column today. The Blue Jays are unleashed up there. The Yankees are cowed. Ryan, one of the reasons I asked at the beginning of the show, what do you think about this, is last year we did a lot on the Yankees will self-sabotage, and that's how the season will end. I actually think the Yankees have kind of played brilliantly on defense almost this whole postseason. Ryan McMahon is just a tremendous third baseman, has really solidified things. You're getting the best version of Volpe defensively again. With Dominguez off the field, I know Judge made an error, but there was a homer after it anyway. It wasn't like that was the run deciding thing. Like, that defense in their outfield is good. I think Austin Wells is a good to very good defensive. Like they're they're not beating themselves. The Toronto Blue Jays are mauling them. They're completely outplaying. That's why I asked you. It's oftentimes these turn into recriminate into, like the blame game, and like where do you go? Like who do you like? I just think it's pretty simple. There's been 18 innings in this series, and the Blue Jays have annihilated the Yankees for 18 innings. The Oftentimes we can make this case for a lot of the 2 years we've done this together, Ryan, before like the last couple of months where I think the Yankees have tightened up a lot of things. The Yankees lost as much as the other team won. I think that went right to game 5 of the World Series, game 1 and game 5 of the World Series, which is where they lost the World Series last year. I don't think the Yankees have lost these 2 games. I
No.
think the Blue Jays have won these 2 games pretty clearly. And the Yankees haven't looked in their class. And that's about what their hitters are doing to the Yankee pitching and what the Yankee hitting is not doing. And what they're not doing is getting a ball over the fence. They're back in the Bronx on Tuesday. They hope they're back in the Bronx on Wednesday. They've got to get to they if I could just say one last thing about it, I'm sorry to be long-winded, because I think one thing that will be heard is, well, all these years you said they're too addicted to the homers. And I'm like, they're too addicted to the homers and they're ignoring everything else. I never would say, I think on this show, I've always been pretty consistent. If you told me I could be good at everything else or hit homers, I would hit homers. Like it's the only sure way to get a run at a time where it is very hard to hit pitching. The average fastball this postseason is 96 miles per hour. Like it's ridiculous how good the pitching is, and then you see more of it come in from the bullpen, etc. So, like, you've got to get the ball over the fence. The problem was the Yankees the last few years were getting it over the fence, but they were bad at all these other things. Now they're really good on defense, actually. I mean, just McMahon again is transformative about how good he is on defense, and I've actually think on the whole team, McMahon's had the best at bats.
Yeah,
Also, like he's played
I
really
know.
honored himself in these 2 games in Toronto. He hasn't struck out. He put the ball hard in play.
I agree.
He's made good defensive plays. He's been really good. But like the Yankees have to have both column A and column B. They have column B, which is they're not hurting themselves on the bases. They're playing really well on defense. This is not a technical airhead, oh, forgot how many outs there were, whatever. This is Toronto putting the ball over the fence, and the Yankees are not putting it over the fence.
Yep.
That's been the series, and that was nobody's preview coming into this.
No.
Nobody.
No.
The Yankees out homered them by about like 70 over the time, and the Blue Jays have gone deep, and the Yankees haven't. Yankees are in their most comfortable place to hit homers for at least one and possibly 2 nights. It either goes over the fence or it doesn't. If it doesn't, I don't even know how they win game 3. I don't know how they win game 4, and I don't know how they have a 3-game winning streak. They've got to decisively win the homer battle for the next 1, 2, or 3 games.
Completely agree, Joel. And it also goes to the fact in last year you had the shield for Judge and Stanton and Soto. And this year, I mean, Stanton hasn't really been Stanton like playoff like you would hope. And
The strange thing, Ryan, is he has killed the ball.
right.
He just keeps hitting it into the ground.
I thought he hit
It's like,
that ball out in game 3, mind you, too. Like
yeah,
I thought that was going out. I couldn't believe it didn't
I
go out.
think I think he's hit like 9 balls over 100 miles per hour in the postseason. I mean, he has rocketed the ball. It's been on the ground,
Yeah.
which is kind of not his tradition. So again, does he kind of like does his launch angle? Because listen, if he hits it 106, 109, 112, things we've seen so far in this postseason, and it's in the air, it's 430. We know what happens when he does that. Yeah, and look, it wasn't as big of a bat because there were 2 outs, but he strikes out with the bases loaded too there. And like we have become used to over the past few postseasons of him being the rescue guy
Yep.
for them and getting big hits. And so far there haven't been big hits from him either. And the only, the one thing I'll say is he's hit the ball hard, but not up.
Yep.
Like the whole homer thing doesn't make a lot of sense with these 2 teams. Where the ball's being hit hard by Stanton doesn't make a lot of sense to me because it's, like I've seen him rocket into a lot of double plays, obviously on the ground, but usually when he hits it hard, it's up.
Yeah.
And it hasn't happened. And Ryan, it's like, I love doing the show with you. It just feels like that could be the sentence and we could all go back, take a nap this afternoon on like they're either going to hit the ball over the fence and stop the Blue Jays from doing the same. The Blue Jays have gotten multi-homer games from Varsho and Kirk. They got a homer from Clement. Guerrero's at bats have been great, and he has a homer in each game. They are completely winning the long ball game.
And
That's it. Yeah,
it's
that's it.
yeah, that is it. Um, on the flip side, with them hitting all these home runs, look, I know the stats said that the Blue Jays don't strike out much, right? Like you're gonna have a tough time with them because they don't do it. Am I crazy? I'm hearing fan theories that they were stealing signs, that they are on these pitches. I just feel like that's just who the Blue Jays have been all year. Not the power numbers, but they don't strike out. They don't swing and miss. They are on top of you, and that's been their approach at the plate all year long.
Well, the question is, do you think they're stealing on the field, or do you think they're stealing them illegally? If it's on the field, the Yankees can do no whining.
Right.
Nobody steals on the field like the Yankees. The question is, do you think that they have this great record at the Rogers Center and a great record at the Rogers Center against the Yankees because something else is going on? I think that's a horrible thing to allege unless you have some real proof,
Right.
because that's suspendable stuff. That's throw you out of it. Like after 2017 and the Astros, that's another level. And I will say something. Um, I talked to an executive to do that long scouting report I do for every series. And this was before the Red Sox Yankee series. And he said the two teams that are the best in baseball at on field thievery are the Yankees and the Red Sox. But then when you're the best at it, you're also the most paranoid about it because you think like, oh, we can do it. I bet you everybody could do it. But the executive I talked to said not everybody does it at the level and success level that those two teams. And he said the Yankees were the best. And he said they're really great at it. So, like, we could have a conversation if this on-field gamesmanship that's gotten heightened, where we saw what happened to like Teoscar Hernandez and Matt Strom the other day. Like, this isn't just a Yankee thing. It's not just a Blue Jay thing. It's not just everybody is got the high-speed slow-mo cameras on everything, and they're looking for every tell. Like, this is the World Series of poker, not
Yeah.
the World Series of baseball eventually. And I don't know how great that is for the sport. But again, at a time where the average fastball is in the mid to high 90s, offenses are looking for every advantage they could get to try to hit the ball. And one of them is to kind of have a general idea of either when it's what is coming or where it's coming to and what quadrant of the plate. And so everyone is trying to do it, and there's some better than the others. And look, the Blue Jays, they didn't just have a low strikeout percentage in the ballpark. Like they hit the ball, and I mean they really hit the ball. And maybe also like look, maybe one of the advantages of getting 5 days off because you win the division, because you won the season series, is you could do even more homework for 5 days while the Yankees and Yankees already have played two do or die games this
Yeah.
postseason. They're about to play their third tomorrow. So, like maybe the Blue Jays are just like, hey, let's use the week well. Let's go to school on everybody and figure out every little thing we could take advantage of. It's a real advantage.
My final two questions for you, Joel. The first being tomorrow night, Carlos Rodon. We saw him do it in game 2 against the Red Sox. Can he, or I should say, can he? Do you believe he will be capable of giving them a strong performance tomorrow night against this Blue Jays lineup?
The one thing I keep thinking is like Rodon and Fried really had to expend heavy to get through the season. They coincidentally both finished at 195 in the third innings, which I find bizarre that the two guys on the same team had the exact like to the fraction
Yeah.
195 in the third innings. And the Yankees don't get where they're getting without those guys being not only high level starters but horses who got the Yankees as far as they have gotten has something, and then Fried worked very hard in game 1 against Boston. Is that now he's over 200 innings for the season. Rodon is up over 200 innings for the season. It's hard to ignore the fresh arm of Yusavage, the fresh arm of Schlittler. I even thought that like it was about defense. I think Connolly early threw the ball very well for the Red Sox. He got their defense right. Like again, with all the time we talked about the Yankees beating themselves, the Red Sox beat
Absolutely.
themselves. Like the Red Sox had a real shot to win that series. Maybe they win it if Roman Anthony is healthy. But like they certainly have a much better chance if they play clean baseball. in that series. They didn't. The Yankees did for the most part and advanced. Um, and again, the Blue Jays are putting it in play. The Yankees are not botching the ball. Now you can't botch a ball that goes over the fence. That's got to stop. As we know, Rodon has some penchant for the home run ball, which Fried actually doesn't, and gave up a couple. Uh, he's got to keep them in the park, and you got to here. And I recognize how silly this is because of how easy it is to say and not do. A veteran pitching coach who I asked, like, how would you attack the Blue Jays? And he kind of, you know what BABIP is? Batting average on balls in play. He's like, you just have to pray your bat. You got to throw your best pitches to get weak contact, and just pray that it's a good BABIP day for
Yeah.
you. It's going to be play. You hope it doesn't dunk over the infield and go down the line. He's like, they're a very hard team to strike out a lot. They're not going to strike out a lot. You got to be really sharp defensively and hope that what your pitching is doing is taking it off the meat of the bat, and then you win the BABIP game. So can Rodon do that? He has more tools to do it. The changeup and the cutter are real for him. They helped him have, a really, really top flight, top 10 in the American League among starters season this year. And it's a calling card game. Their season is on the line, and they need him to see if they could get the ball to the end game. And look, the end game is going to have to be close to flawless for 3 more games also. And that's a tough thing because the Yankees, as the season went along, kind of try to transition into more of a strikeout bullpen. And, like Devin Williams is counting on you striking out.
Yep.
David Bednar is counting on you striking out a third of the time. Fernando Cruz is counting on you striking out a third of the time. These guys can't mount their problems with walks. And Cruz and Williams in particular are guys who are problematic walk guys. You've got to do I'm throwing good pitches, and if I get to 2 strikes early in a count and I want to go for a strike out, whatever. But like at 2-2, you got to play the game of not getting to 3-2.
Yep.
I would treat 2-2 like ball 3 against this team. I would not add to my problems by walking them. And again, all easier said than done.
100%.
Hey, just throw a good strike. But the Yankees' margin for error, as we know, is now gone.
Yep.
It's now gone. And they've got to figure out, like, limit the walks, limit bad counts, get this team to put the ball in play, like Kevin Gausman did to the Yankees for 5 innings, where he got 15 outs and 50 pitches to begin the game the other day. There is something to be said for Rodon's changeup, getting the ball on the ground, and him not feeling like the judgment on him is, does he go 6 innings with 8 strikeouts? The key thing is to go 6 innings with 2 runs or less.
Yep. And
Then,
get get
to
the
the meat
lead
of the
to your bullpen. Yeah, get the lead to
Yep.
your bullpen.
And again, how do you get the lead? Aaron Judge going to bat in the first inning, man. Stanton probably getting at bat in the first inning. It's the Shane Bieber we're going to see tomorrow finished well, but he ain't that Shane Bieber. And you've got to begin to change the context of this series. The Yankees have played behind the whole series. And I know what the final score was in game 1. That was a close game for 2/3 of the game. And then the Yankees put in the soft underbelly of their bullpen, and it got beat up. And, I am curious, like, Duvall looked great again. Does Duvall move up and get some run? He's going to have to. They've got to win.
We know it's not Luke
3
Weaver.
games in
We know it's not Luke
4
Weaver
games.
getting that run.
Yeah, I wouldn't believe that just one pitch got Weaver back on track.
It feels like he's tipping pitches, and I feel like in the post game,
I don't think I wonder if he's almost if his attempt, again, the paranoia. That's what it sounded like when Luke was talking the other night after the game. Was his paranoia has led to him throwing worse pitches.
Yeah.
Than what's going on, and it's like, and it's a different age, but literally everyone in baseball knew when Sandy Koufax was throwing his curveball. But it was Sandy Koufax's curveball, so it didn't get hit. at some point, I think you've got to throw your best stuff. And I get it. There's, you know what it reminds me of? You're a fan of the movie Ocean's 11, the
Of
remake, the
course.
one with Clooney and
Yeah.
Damon and those guys. Um, they where they say that you forgot in your casino, you're always being watched on the cameras. That's Julia Roberts,
Hmm.
right at the end to Andy Garcia.
Andy Garcia. That's right.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's the game now. The cameras are everywhere. They're super. They're super slow mo. They're super detailed. They can hologram people. So like, uh, oh, on so somebody told me that there was a pitcher who was like essentially it was like hourglass stuff. It was like fastball, slider, changeup,
That's crazy.
and they hologrammed it, and that's how they knew. Fastball, it was about an inch and a half slider, an inch and a half to changeup,
Any
and
advantage, huh, Joel?
right. And by the way, I see that all as kind of fair game, what's
Yeah.
going on in the field, as long as it's not being relayed through electronic signal during the game. Like, but I don't love it, to be honest. Like, I think it's gone too far. I think the overt quality of the Yankees stuff or what we saw Teoscar Hernandez do the other day with his hand. I think look, in the old days, even Aaron Judge, if Aaron Judge did that, his next at bat, there'd be a fastball up near his head.
Hmm.
And the problem is, I think I use the word problem. It's not, nobody should have a baseball thrown at them. But the ability to legislate this on the field has gone away, where a pitcher can't just say, all right, uh, turn to the guy on second base and say, you're going to bat again in this game. And when you do, stay loose in there, my friend.
It's
That would clean up some of it, but you can't do it anymore.
yeah.
And
It's
I think that's what happened to Luke.
yeah.
I
That
think I think Luke is now where I said you could become deep in the paranoia of it all. I think Luke is deep in the paranoia of it all.
seems like it. My final question for you, Joel. If the Yankees go down and get swept and it's ugly again tomorrow night in the Bronx.
No.
It's not that. It's not that. But I will say, is this an ultimate disappointing season? Is the question in terms
That's
of
a really good question.
so that's honestly
I've been thinking about it a lot.
that's my honest question because right like you finished with the same record like you said with the Blue Jays. You ended up losing the division to them because you did have a division lead earlier this regular season and they had a really bad slump in the middle of the year. And I know that they squashed that narrative against the Red Sox by winning that wild card series. But getting swept by your division rival, a team that you tied for in the AL East, is that an ultimate disappointment
Yeah.
for this season?
The Yankees are judged by championships. This would fall short of it. But Ryan, I would ask a question, and let's table it because it's stuff I'm thinking about writing when and if they're eliminated. But I would just ask this question. Do you think this team is better than last year's team?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. So it's a tough thing to say that they got a good draw last year, right? They get Cleveland and Kansas City. Kansas City has a losing record if you take the White Sox, the 120 plus lost White Sox out of it. So they got a good draw and they got all the way to the World Series. And this year's team, I just think is better. But then again, I think I've said this on the show a lot. I thought the 2017, 19, and 22 Yankees were better than the 2024 Yankees. They all lost in the ALCS to the Astros. I thought those were better teams. I thought last year's team was a one-trick pony, hit ball out stadium. You know, that was their trick. And when it happened, it was really good. And they could win and overcome stuff against inferior opponents. That's why I was very careful. The Blue Jays are beating them. Like it's hard and that's to the detriment of the whole group that the Blue Jays are beating them. But I feel it's a different level of ugly when you're beating yourself. And I think that they're a better all-around team this year than they were last year,
Mm-hmm.
and they may end up going 2-4 in the postseason. So it's almost like I'm not even sure. Like one of my jobs is always you got to pivot. Like, what would you do next? I'm not positive what I would do next right this second. I'll come up with something when I got to have my fingers touch a keyboard. Uh, but I think they've ended up with a well-rounded team that feels like if Garrett Cole were making this one of these three starts, and then you had Schlittler, and again, no crying in baseball. Zach Wheeler's not available to the Phillies. Their ace is gone, right? The
Blue
Blue
Jays are
Jays are
playing
playing
without Bo
without Bo
Bichette. Yeah.
Bichette, who's their second best position player on a daily basis. No crying. But like Ryan, I know so I always say there's fair and there's sports fair and unfair. In real life, I think it would be unfair to do what we're about to do to the Yankees after their next loss to the Blue Jays, if there's a next loss to the Blue Jays. But in the sports world, where everything is small sample, like you just can't hide behind small sample forever. Like at some point, the small sample has to go your way.
Yep.
Um, there will be something that I still haven't completely put my finger on that the Yankees are lacking to be more bulletproof at this time of year. Is it one or two more guys who strike out a little less? I don't know. Like, because you got to give up somebody then. And those guys are hard to find who are also well-rounded players who can, like, it's the thing about Bellinger that makes him so special is he doesn't strike out and he's good at everything. He's going to get a lot of money this offseason because of that. Kyle Tucker is going to get a ton of money because of that this offseason. Like they're just like I talked to somebody who knows Tucker well because I'm like, how's Kyle Tucker getting hundreds of millions of dollars? I never feel him in the game. He goes, if you play against him though, he never does bad. He's only good at everything. He goes, you know how hard it is in Major League Baseball to be good at everything? And he goes, and Kyle isn't just good, he's very good at everything. And I'm like, okay, I'll trust you on it because I'm watching Bellinger be very good at everything. They're hard to find. They get paid a lot of money. And like one of the problems is like Aaron Judge is pretty good at everything. And then he hurt his arm and he strikes out a little too much. But the exchanges, he led the world in batting this year by a lot. He still hit and he hit home runs. And here we are back to him. And maybe the Yankees would have championships over the last 9 years if Aaron Judge hit in October. And so that's not changing, right? He's the captain of the team, signed for 9 years, and he's barely a third of the way into that. He's a beloved Yankee. He's a great player. And it just feels like if he hit in October, we might be having like well, at least they won that one time. At least they won those two times. Like he hasn't. He hasn't had Reggie. Like, I mean, Bernie Williams was a brilliant postseason hitter. He had 2 walk-off homers in the postseason, Bernie Williams, besides tons of other big hits. Like, we're going full circle here. I just think that the next 3 days, if the 4 days and 3 games, or 1 day, and me and you doing this again later in the week, is a referendum on the captain of the team. Like he needs this to be the moment because my friend Kenny Rosenthal wrote a column this morning that I agree with, which is he's 34 in April. He obviously is still a great player, but at some point his window to do this while he's still an elite player gets tougher and tougher every year. And one of the reasons they get eliminated is because he hasn't been April to September Judge in October. And Ryan, I just don't know how they go 3-0 against the Blue Jays for the rest of 2025 without him being a great player.
Well said, Joel. We're looking forward to your coverage throughout the rest of the week and this postseason. We appreciate you giving us time just to talk about this, and we'll see how it plays out over the next couple days, hopefully, if it happens that way. Joel Sherman, thank you, sir.
All right, Ryan, all the best, and all the viewers, thank you so much.